What's going on, guys? Welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Nick Updike and I'm the founder of ReelDriven, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how I was able to pass the exam in just 10 days of studying and the key concepts and material that you absolutely need to know to get through this exam. I got the self-study package. It's the basic level. It comes with the textbook, an online textbook, a bunch of practice quizzes, study modules and videos, and practice exams. I promise you that is all you need to crush this exam, knock it out of the park. So don't feel like you have to go buy the $800,000, $900,000 package with all these crazy resources, because this is all you need. They give you so much information in online through the homepage. So before I start, I want to share that I don't recommend cramming for this exam like I did. I only had 10 days until my exam expired, and I'm already certified with P-TAG, so I didn't absolutely need it. So I kind of put it off to last minute and then realized that I needed to get it in. So that's why I studied in 10 days. Do not recommend it, but it is possible if you have to. So I'm going to be going over the exact things that you need to know, and then how I studied for the exam, the exact steps I took, and the process I went through to crush this exam. I can tell you, after I passed, I felt very confident that I knew at least 80-90% of the material, and I didn't just wing it. So here we go. I'm going to share you my screen and let's get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into what main concepts you need to understand. First off, you need to understand the OPT model. Let me pull this up for you guys. This is the foundation of the exam right here. Bam. So there's basically three main levels: the stabilization, strength, and then power, and then under each one there's subcategories. So under stabilization, there's stabilization endurance. Under strength endurance, hypertrophy, and maximal strength, and then power is power. You need to understand this because the majority of this exam ties back into this model exactly. So know that inside and out. You'll see it as you go through all your practice quizzes and you read through the textbook. You're going to keep seeing it again and again and again, so make sure you know that. Another thing is you're going to need to know the planes of movement. There's a ton of questions on which exercise is in which plane of movement. So there's sagittal, there's transverse, and there's frontal. Just know which way they go, and then know which exercises are in which planes of movement, and you'll be good to go with that. Another thing is you're going to need to understand overactive and underactive muscles. Make sure you know mostly the upper extremity, literally everything from your scalenes to your sternocleidomastoid to your chest, your pecs, your traps, everything up here. There's a ton of questions. There's some with lower body, but mostly upper body. There's one example that came up a bunch of times. It was saying if you're doing an overhead squat and your arms are up here and your arms fall forward, which muscle is overactive, which muscle is underactive, and then how would you strengthen and how would you lengthen that muscle. Know how to do that, which corrective exercises there are to fix the overactive, underactive muscles. Another big concept is the flexibility continuum. There's corrective, active, and functional, and you're going to need to know example exercises for each one of those. Let's see. Program design, huge. You need to know the acute variables. Acute variables of training, which are like your reps, your sets, your training intensity, your rest time, all of that, and then how that relates to the OPT model in the stabilization phase, the strength phase, the power phase, etc., hypertrophy, all of that. You need to know how the acute variables of training relate back to it. Again, everything's tying back into the OPT model. I would honestly say skip the nutrition. Understand the basics of the importance of fats, proteins, and carbs. That is pretty much all that's on the exam. There's a few very specific questions that you'll be able to pull from your practice exams, but other than that, like, I wouldn't spend too much time on nutrition. Another concept that is in there a decent amount is the stages of change. I believe that's chapter 19 in the new textbook. Through that, there's like pre-contemplation, contemplation, action, like all of that. It's just 5 stages, and just know how to identify someone in each stage and you'll be Gucci. Let's see what else. These are just notes I took after taking the exam to see like what I saw in the exam come up the most. Those are the main things. If you understand the OPT model thoroughly and then the other 4 or 5 things I just named, you will definitely be able to get like 70% of the questions. The rest are pretty specific questions with, you know, how the arteries work, how your heart works. Actually, I would say study the heart, know like the valves and the pulmonary valves, the arteries and all of that, because there are a decent amount of questions on blood flow and oxygen. Other than that, that's the majority of the exam. So understand that, and let's move on to how I went about studying, because that's by far the most important part and the main premise of this video. So I'm going to now get into the exact method I use to study. So I'm going to put it on my computer. You are given the online course, so you sign in on NASM online. You go my home, my courses, and then CPT self-study. You click that, and so this is what I did every single time. I never picked up the hard copy of the textbook. I used only the online text. So you'll go to module 1, you'll click that, and then you're gonna see read chapter 1, chapter review, the lecture, and the review quiz. If you're short on time like I was, I will take the quiz first. Yeah, I know that sounds counterintuitive. I'll take the quiz first, I'll go through and answer all the questions, and then I'll see which ones I got wrong. Immediately after seeing the questions I got wrong, I will copy and paste the questions. Let's see if I can get into one of my old exams. Oh, alright, so review. I'll copy and paste the question I got wrong, and I'll put it into a Quizlet. So just make an NASM Quizlet. You guys, I'll give you access to mine, of course, if you want to use it, but it's way more effective if you create your own, because the questions I got wrong will probably be different than the ones you get wrong. So copy and paste the questions you get wrong into the Quizlet. Now, when you're finished with that, then you go back and you're going to read the chapter. I'll be honest with you guys, I've been working out for a long time. I've been very familiar with nutrition, exercise programs, and all of that stuff. So I did come in with a little bit of knowledge prior to the exam, but if you're completely new and unfamiliar with the material, go ahead and read this thoroughly and take notes. So take notes on terms you don't know, on concepts you don't understand, and what I would do is I would actually copy and paste charts into a Google Doc so I could go back and pretty much use that to answer questions or refer to that. So I'll go through, skim the chapter, blah blah blah, skim. If there's a term I don't know, I'll copy and paste that term into my Quizlet study guide, and yeah, I'll just skim through. I'll be like, all right, blood lipids, blah blah blah, go through, bam. Look, here's the OPT model. I absolutely need to understand this. All right, so I'll go through, then I'll go back and I'll take the quiz again. Now, if I don't get a 10 out of 10 on the quiz, I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to copy and paste the ones I got wrong, put it back into Quizlet, and then I'm going to go, all right, so which part of this do I not understand? And I'm going to go back into the text, into the exact section where that question is in that material, and I'm going to review that until I get a 10 out of 10. I'll just keep repeating that process. Then I'll go to the next quiz and do the exact same thing. Take the quiz first, put the wrong answers into Quizlet, study those, read the chapter, go back, take the quiz, and then focus on the areas that I didn't completely understand or comprehend. And I basically did that for every single module until the end. That way I had an entire database of all the questions that I didn't know personally and I needed to review. I skimmed the whole textbook, and I was able to really hone in on the areas that I needed to study more. That is the fastest way for you to get the most amount of knowledge possible. Another huge thing, like I mentioned, when you come across a chart that looks very beneficial, copy and paste that sucker into a Google Doc so you can go back and review the charts, because the charts are very helpful, especially when you're just going back to the OPT model, the flexibility and the strength and the sets, the rep schemes, all of that. There are a lot of very helpful charts. Let me see if I think I got rid of my Google Doc. Sorry, I kind of messed up on that one. Okay, another thing I'm doing while I'm studying is I have a Google tab open. This way, if I'm on a question or I need to review something really quick, I can Google different muscles, positions, exercises, and movements that I'm unfamiliar with. I was really bad with learning all the small, tiny muscles and bones in the body. So I would get like the scalenes and all the different muscles through the traps all around. I'd get them mixed up. I don't know why. Like the main ones I knew, rhomboids, traps, things like that. But there's a lot of small muscles that I was unfamiliar with. So I'd keep a tab open, and then I would actually get a picture of the muscle that's like highlighted in red, and I'd put the name of it underneath. So I would have a whole Google Doc filled with all the different muscles, and there is a ton of overactive and underactive muscle questions. So I was able to go through and say, all right, so if this is tight, this isn't moving this way, which muscle is overactive? And I'd be able to see a visual of the muscle, and I could tell which one was overactive or underactive. So make sure you know the overactive, underactive muscles, how to strengthen and lengthen them, because there's a ton of questions on that specifically. Alright, so when you're finished going through each chapter, taking the quizzes, getting a 10 out of 10, and skimming through the textbook, this took me 2 to 3 hours every day. Let's see, there was 21 modules. I tried to do 3 modules a day, and that took me 2 to 3 hours roughly. So if that gives you any idea. And then the last 2 days I spent strictly on doing practice exams. So I would take the practice exams. There's 120 questions. I'd go through it exactly how I did the practice quizzes. I would copy and paste the ones I got wrong, throw it in my Quizlet, and then I would review my Quizlet, go back, take another practice exam, and I think I took each practice exam, I think I took it 5 times. Like I took it a bunch of times. It took me about an hour each one. So I spent another 2 to 3 hours taking practice exams the day before the exam and right before the exam actually. And that way everything was super fresh in my mind. If you're someone who gets anxious studying too early before the exam, like right before, you can skip that, but it helps me personally. When I went into the exam, there was literally some of the exact same questions as the practice exam. So I was able to be like, bam, know it, move on. So that's pretty much it. That's exactly what I did to get through this exam. You're gonna go through each quiz, skim, Quizlet, repeat. Make sure you have your tab open with your exercises and your muscles, and then make sure you have your Google Doc with all of your charts. That is going to help you tremendously. I will put my Quizlet link below. As you can see on my screen, I have, I think it was at 250 terms. I have a whole bunch of terms. But yeah, this is the fastest way that I found to get through it. I learned a ton, and I felt very, very prepared for the exam, even when I only studied for 10 days. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at Reel_Driven. I put a ton of nutrition, workout, mindset, spirituality stuff on there, daily life, how to get better every single day to reach your ultimate self. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. And if you do pass the exam, make sure you leave a comment. That's a huge feat, and congratulations. So, peace.